Moin, ihr wunderbaren Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Wir haben im letzten Part die Untersuchungen abgeschlossen mit Mikotoba und Holmes und ja, haben ein wenig, einen etwas überraschenden Fund gemacht, denn äh, unser Herr Richter scheint irgendwie nicht so der liebe, nette, unschuldige Kerl zu sein, wie er sich, ja, für den er sich ausgegeben hat. Und ich habe mir jetzt nochmal Gedanken gemacht ähm, über, wie das jetzt alles zusammenpasst, was das jetzt alles bedeutet. Und wenn ich das jetzt rational sehe, also ohne Emotionen, sondern nur mit den Fakten, die wir eben bekommen haben, dann sieht es für mich momentan so aus, als wäre Kazuma eben tatsächlich ein Assassine. Wie er zu dem geworden ist, weiß ich nicht. Wie gesagt, ich gehe ganz stark davon aus, dass das mit seinem Vater zu tun hat. Ähm, dass Jigoku müsste eigentlich, also auch davon gewusst haben. Er muss darin eingeweiht gewesen sein. Weil dieses Telegramm, er musste ja gewusst haben, was dieses Telegramm bedeutet. Das heißt, Jigoku muss darin eingeweiht gewesen sein. Oder keine Ahnung, hat das vielleicht mitorganisiert. Und wollte vielleicht sogar irgendjemanden töten, was damals so nicht funktioniert hat. Also wen der Professor vielleicht nicht töten konnte. Also wie gesagt, ich weiß noch nicht so hundertprozentig, wie das alles zusammenpasst, aber wenn man sich jetzt anguckt, was wir bisher wissen, macht es so am meisten Sinn, dass er eben davon wusste und da eben tiefer mit drin hängt, dass Kazuma tatsächlich ein Assassine ist. Also ich würde jetzt so behaupten, dass er in die Fußstapfen von seinem Vater tritt. Und ich hoffe, dass man eben noch mehr erfährt, warum sein Vater diese ganzen Morde dann wirklich begangen hat. Aus welchem Grund. Ähm, und auch wie der Bruder von Van Six jetzt gestorben ist. Weil ich glaube, dass das ein unschuldiges Opfer. Also, ich glaube nicht, dass Clint eigentlich hätte sterben sollen. So denke ich mir das jetzt gerade die ganze Zeit. Und Gregson hängt in der Hinsicht gar nicht damit drin, sondern Gregson wollte, glaube ich, diese ganze Sache, wie ich es von Anfang an gesagt habe, aufklären. Ich glaube, dass Gregson einfach ermittelt hat gegen den Reaper, wer hinter dem Reaper steckt und der Wahrheit immer näher gekommen ist. Und deswegen sollte, glaube ich, Gregson eliminiert werden, bevor er alles aufdeckt. Bevor er diese ganzen Assassinen auffliegen lässt und hinter Gitter bringt und sonstiges. Das glaube ich eben, dass Gregson ähm, derjenige ist, der Wahrheit sehr, sehr nahe gekommen ist. So, das sind meine Gedanken, die immer noch sehr unsortiert irgendwie sind, aber das ist jetzt so das, was ich mir denke, wenn ich jetzt emotionslos an die Sache rangehe, also wirklich nur mit den Fakten, weil, wie gesagt, ich mag Kazuma eigentlich, aber von den Fakten her sieht es halt jetzt nicht so gut aus für Kazuma. Und das einzige andere Rätsel, das es noch gibt, ist Iris. Und zwar, wer ist Iris' Vater? Und das weiß ich tatsächlich noch nicht. Also, das ist jetzt nicht Mikoto, ist mir schon klar. Aber ich kann mir auch nicht vorstellen, dass Sherlock ihr Vater ist. Das glaube ich auch nicht. Da bin ich mir noch nicht zu 100% sicher, wer der Vater von Iris ist. Also, da hoffe ich mal, dass wir auch noch herausfinden werden. Bin ich mal gespannt. Wir machen jetzt auf jeden Fall erstmal weiter. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve. Yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Stronghold, requesting the judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma's bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we are heading into very dangerous territory. Is it really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted his prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume? Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Barak van Zieks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well then, this preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seshiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last then, we have reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryunosuke, it's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your Supona, I did what was necessary. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I would see the day when you would take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seshiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Oh, it was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never fancied the young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself, and now I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I would obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simply as that. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon. This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan, the murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right, and you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you are resolved to carry this through to the very end too. Let's see your evidence then. What proof do you have that Seshiro Jigoku is involved in this case? Das ist die Liste. This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. You little... Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Cecile Brad, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim J. Wilson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also visiting student Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson, one assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange, and the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. What's this all about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Ryunosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Seshiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. You deliberately avoided saying a name? The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There is now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I will tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. Okay. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazumi Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there would have been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. So you admitted then, as this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here. To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling. Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? Das muss was mit seinem Vater zu tun haben, weil er hat doch sonst noch nie Gregson vorher gesehen. Judge Jigoku, if you were the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I have killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk, because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barak von Zieks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. Es gibt aber, was war das denn nochmal? Ich muss gleich nochmal in der Akte nachgucken. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly, it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with that tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, Counsel? Yes, my lord. I will keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. So. Und jetzt muss ich hier einmal ganz kurz in die Akte gucken. Und zwar... war das? Hier, Evacuation Drill Eternity. Whatever. Ich werde das Wort jetzt nicht butchern. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. Das heißt, es war kein Seemann bei Jigoku, während dieser Evacuation Drill geprobt wurde. The target, blah blah blah. However, in the end something happened and the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. Und das stimmt nicht. Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st. It's evidence gathered by Mr. Sherlock Holmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 PM and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grus were together on deck for an evacuation drill. And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime. A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin, unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Decisive evidence. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel. Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night, I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin on the 31st October? Okay, was haben wir noch von der Kabine? Es kann ja dann nur das da sein. A small machine part that Mr. Sholmes found in Judge Jigoku's cabin from the SS Grus. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on the top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one. The crown? Like, what sits on top of a monarch's head? That's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually, yes, Mr. Naruhodo, this is a crown. I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean pocket watch, then I'm quite sure you have. Ah, okay, das ist der Aufzieher für die Uhr. Ja, dann ist das ist das der Beweis, den wir brauchen? Mein Gott. Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch. And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill, in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible, at first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry. If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this trivial, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you will notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. Okay, the events in the cabin, das ist die nächste Zeugenaussage und die werden wir uns im nächsten Part anhören. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen, hoffe ihr hattet Spaß und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!